Let me just talk a little bit about what I was talking about 2 days ago. I wanted to talk about blasting caps for a second. He came through and he said something about Robert Anton Wilson, and that was the first place he had ever heard of synchronicity. The first book I ever read by Robert Anton Wilson was called Cosmic Trigger. And it's really kind of a journey, and it's really personal, and one of the things that he talks about is that anything that you believe is basically enters into a form of reality, even if it doesn't have the full form of reality of, say, like a hard form, like this book. So something about that made a lot of sense to me, and some of these people that we may call wacko because they're not totally in our world, they're not gripping with the actual day-to-day existence that we call real, are kind of connecting. They're almost radio waving into an existence that is probably really scary to us. Like, that's why I think that so-called crazy people are so scary to our world, because I think they're operating in a frequency that us so-called sane people, and I do consider myself sane, feel is basically, it's like they're freed from the bonds of our mind-body phenomenon and the way we interact as these so-called synchronized beings, and how we do cause and effect through this. But somehow these people are operating and transmitting in a way, albeit out of control, and so covered, so heavily blown. I've had mentally ill people very, very close to me, and it's really wild being with them, especially when they're when it's full on. The type of reality that they're actually experiencing in the moment is just, it's frightening. For me as a child, having to be around that was just, talk about scary. It kind of set me on a trajectory where I had no choice but to deal with it head on. And in many ways, in that acting out, trying to figure out what we're doing, I got caught up in so much craziness myself. But it caused me to search out sanity in so many ways, whether it's psychology, whether it's family, whether it's I don't want to say religion, but more so spirituality, and the forms of religion too. I don't deny, but it was a long battle to go from not feeling completely disembodied from a religious thought, and completely searching out spirit, finding out what that means. Through me, some of the earliest forms when I was young was probably Native American thought, and that connected me into a lot of different forms. Passing through New Age, and even the dreaded Satanism, which I love to bring up because it gets people so riled. I personally don't buy into the system any more than any other system, but it seems like people's rejection of the system just makes it so juicy just to even use it in dialogues and speaking. Of course, I would never do the same in such deplorable activity as, say, Nazism. It's just even the word just brings me to another place, or like any kind of racist supremacy or sexism or anything like that. I don't know. There's definitely a boundary, and albeit probably a good one, that's created for me. But once again, I even like to throw it in the hopper, so to speak, so that we could kind of bring all the fold into it, but not in a sick kind of, crooked or non-skillful way. I think the key of this is to do everything skillfully, and there's so much of a wide array of possibility when you have the skill to really pinpoint and acknowledge and build and create. And it's bottomless. There's no ceiling. You know, it shoots out left and right, goes straight through the core of the Earth to the other side. I mean, you can feel China. You know, you can find out if they're really stupid or on Jupiter. All right, you know what I'm saying, kid? You can go as far as Mars and keep going. You know. Don't you know Pluto, the plateau, row, 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 row your boat merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is just a seam, and you gotta go from through the seam with a full head of steam, like a light beam. Who's that? What did they call that guy that ran for president? Moonbeam. Imagine Moonbeam being the president. Brown. So, is that enough to get you moving? I mean, you got to keep it moving, and I think part of the connection here that I'm seeing as I'm speaking, although it seems like it's not, and yes, I do this sometimes. Watch the last video if you're trying to understand what that is all about. But yeah, we can just do that instead, because we can rearrange and stop acting strange, like put on a suit and who do you become? I went from union to corporate and won some game, but I'm still the same, breaking your heart. Long, go. Yeah. So, that was code for specific individuals, so if you don't understand, you're not that person, it's only one person. Probably really understands what I said, and they probably don't watch this, but I could direct their attention or maybe even do a clip for them. So, in terms of synchronicity and bouncing off the wall, I mean, it's just so funny, you know, it's just like people are so rude on their cell phones. And they're just so like wrapped up in their iPod in their ears and closed off, but still out in the hubbub, and it really makes you feel like wow, you know, if you're gonna really cut yourself off from your fellow beings, maybe you should really go to that mountain and see what's happening. Because I mean, if you're really forced to interact with each other, which we are, whether we like it or not, you might as well do it with your whole heart. I mean, you need a full heart. If you don't have a full heart, in my humble opinion, which is still forming, and I think it's created from all the minds that are working within my circuitry, to use an electrical metaphor. Even though I only meet people one at a time, I never just met a four. I mean, it's not a 0 to 10 like we're like, hey, I'm ready to magnetize the situation, you know? But, I don't know, I think there's some actual sense here, and if you could find it, I'd love you to pipe in, and pay the piper, you know? So the wakeful mind is really powerful. I mean, it can bounce out of your soul and really take you into a direction that's not beneficial. And then in the same vein, you know, that flows through everything, from your pumping through your heart, the vessel of your blood, it goes out. Like in Buddhism, they have the mandala principle, and it's basically, you know, it's working out of a center, and it's creating a whole basis around the center, and how the center moves with you. And that personal I, which I think is so important. I mean, the more I come across this path of personality and how it develops out of the core, you know, you involute into the evolution, the more I'm understanding how integrated it is. There's no reason to sit there and, you know, try and create these divisions, these obstacles of opposites, and make them into this barrier of your own understanding. I mean, why do that? I mean, if you look at the ultimate knowing piece that I did, which I need to look at again, and you may want to look at it. I think it's called Ultimate Knowing, something about persuasion and brainwashing, and of course I dropped the word Satanism because I love to get people riled up, and I love to just get people brought into the fold. The only reason why I brought it up was this young man, Odious. I mean, he's like a young buck. I don't know whereabouts he's doing his thing, but I mean, the kid is brilliant. I mean, the kid, you know, I certainly wasn't that, I mean, able to speak in the way he speaks. Now, do I understand him? Do I claim to understand anybody fully? You know, why would I be so foolish? So, it's probably going to be a great treat to go back and actually listen to this. But in the meantime, I'll probably just, well, there it is, probably. That's so key to what's changing. And the assuredness is the beauty of it. And all of this stuff is just, it can be changed. It's choice.